AI, right? Now,
Okay.
of course, you don't want to say that.
Right.
So you talk around it. What do you want? You want real stuff. Real, I guess we can curse. Real shit, right?
Yeah.
What about the magic show titled 100% Real Fake Shit? Not like that online fake shit.
No. This fake
is
shit was
real
made by
fake
humans.
shit. Exactly, right? You have a terrible problem. You've been seeing all this fake shit. You got to see some real fake shit.
100% human-made fake shit.
Real fake shit, right?
Yeah.
So that's going to be my touring show. I'm going to do
All
it
right.
with Matt Donnelly. It's going to be Brian and Matt present 100% real fake shit.
That sounds highly entertaining.
Right?
Yes.
And then imagine the media hits where it's like nobody thought to take all the fake shit and do real fake shit.
Yeah. Yeah, this is not fake shit.
No, this is real fake shit.
Yeah, we're
100%. Now,
really
look,
doing this fake shit.
okay. Here's a test. If you want to know if something's real fake shit or just fake shit, is it on the internet? Fake shit. If it's on stage. Now, okay, look, there's real shit. The love of your children, the love of your parents. That's great. That's all real shit. That's not what we're doing on stage.
No.
We're not doing the fake shit on the internet. This is real fake shit.
Yeah. When you pull a rabbit out of the hat, it's a real rabbit and a real hat.
And you're really there. This is real fake shit. And it's been gone. Nobody is a purveyor of real fake shit before me.
Oh,
And
yeah. I
Matt
could
Donnelly.
go on Sora and say, do a magic trick.
No,
and
that's
I could
fake
even
fake
put
shit.
Brian in it.
No,
but it's
no,
not the
yeah.
same thing.
Cheap. Yeah, no.
Low effort. Boo.
Yeah, no. The real fake shit takes effort. Trust me.
I've seen it.
Well, and plus also, it's like, think about it. Between Matt Donnelly and Brian Brushwood, lot of fake shit.
Yeah.
#1 comedy albums, erotic fiction bestsellers, so much. Kings of fake shit.
Kings. I tell
This
you.
is real
Not
fake
actual
shit.
kings. They're fake kings.
Yeah. We're not fakers. We're fakiers. we're kings of fake who are faking. Fakiers. Real
I
fake
think we
shit,
need to do the show
2026.
now.
Okay. It's a good idea though, right?
It's a great idea. I love that. That's a
Yeah.
good pitch. Fake ears. Yeah, we have fake ears.
No, I meant fakir.
I know. That's what you meant.
All right.
Oh, where's my prompter? Oh, of course. My prompter hates cord killers.
Well, you know what? I don't think your prompter has very good taste.
No. And I only use it for the open. And yet it's like, no, I'm just going to delete that. I'm going to keep this old DTNS live script from 7 weeks ago. You might want
Quit
that.
living in the past, prompter. Get
You might
over
want
it.
that. But today's cord killers that you use all the time, no.
No.
And I know what you're saying, Tom. Reading off a prompter, that's fake shit.
Yeah.
Watch it. Watch this and tell you. Just tell me. Just watch. All right. Tell me if this looks fake. I give you my most sincere and real welcome to Cord Killer's Reckoning, because the world of entertainment is turned upside down, and we are just here trying to find out how to watch what we want, where we want, whenever we want. I am really Tom Merritt, and I want to know from Brian where the good stuff is.
Ooh, this is my sincere voice. I also am being very sincere as I say, welcome to Cord Killers.
So sincere. I can
Nobody
tell.
knows who killed the cords. We're all trying to find the real killer.
I don't think it was that person, but it might have been that person over there. We're all trying to find out who really killed the cords, and we're going to start with Netflix in the supply run.
Supply run.
Remember a few weeks ago? Do you remember a few weeks ago, Brian?
I do. It's
Can you?
been a minute. We skipped a week for the
Yeah.
faithful. Yes, we did skip a week, but we are here now.
Oh, I see. I was going to do revisionist history and be like, no, we did a show. You didn't see it? We totally did a show.
Look, that's the internet doesn't need more fakery. I'm here for the real now.
So a few weeks ago, we talked about Warner Brothers Discovery being rumored to be close to a deal to sell to Paramount. Then that didn't happen. Reportedly, it was because David Zaslav said the offers weren't high enough. Then Warner Brothers publicly declared that it is open to a strategic partnership, which is code for we're up for sale, and said that it had received inbound interest from multiple parties. And now we know who those parties are. Mike Cavanaugh, Comcast co-CEO, said that if the company was looking at a merger or acquisition, it would be interested in streaming and studio assets. In fact, Cavanaugh told analysts during Comcast's Q3 earnings call, the bar is high for the company to consider a major merger or acquisition, but he didn't rule anything out. He also indicated the Comcast's ability to secure federal approval for any transaction would improve once it spins off Versant, which is the company that'll take all its cable channels except Bravo later this year. Well, pretty soon, actually, because we only got less than 2 months left in the year. And so that's all code for Comcast saying, yeah, we were interested in Warner Brothers. Reuters says Netflix has hired an investment bank to look into making an offer of its own for Warner Brothers Discovery. Moelis was the financial advisor to Skydance Media, David Ellison's company that ended up buying Paramount to form Paramount Skydance. Warner Brothers Discovery has now granted Netflix access to its financials as part of assembling a prospective merger and acquisition offer. Moelis is advising Netflix this time. Now, it's not clear if a Netflix bid would be for all of Warner Brothers Discovery. Would it include HBO Max? Netflix has said it has no interest in owning legacy media networks, which is, from my experience recently, Netflix saying we're totally going to buy legacy media networks. And I don't know if this has anything to do with the rest of this, but I thought it was interesting that Netflix has filed plans with Washington, D.C. zoning officials for an office, not a place for fans to show up, not like a Netflix house. This would be an entertainment space for Netflix to bring clients in. It would have street front visibility, a screening lounge, a reception area for special events. There probably would be some way to handle the general public, but the point of it would be to lobby.
Yeah,
to entertain people in the nation's capital.
That all tells me that Netflix is settling in for the forever run. I mean, they are about as blue chip as you're going to get. I mean, now we get to be the disaffective teenagers who are just like, new boss, same as the old boss. Come on in, make yourself at home.
And specifically, it's Netflix knowing if we were to buy big things in the future, whether it's Warner Brothers Discovery or something else, we're going to need to entertain the government to grease the wheels of regulation. So it may not mean Warner Brothers Discovery. It may not mean only Warner Brothers Discovery. Netflix is obviously gearing up for playing that ball game, like you say. They're going to be, the blue chip grown-ups at the table now.
Yeah, I got to tell you, Warner Brothers Discovery being part of Netflix, man, that is exactly the play that I would make if I was Netflix. Netflix has had an incredible meteoric rise, and at this point, if it was able to make that kind of merger and acquisition, I would totally do it. It reminds me, there used to be a game show called The Weakest Link, and there would be a moment you would kind of keep doubling down, and at some point a player could shout bank, which meant take all your wins, lock them in. That's, if I'm Netflix, I'm shouting bank, give me Warner Brothers Discovery.
Skydance has a lot of money involved in it because it's David Ellison, the son of Larry Ellison. And a lot of Larry's money went into Skydance buying Paramount. I don't know how much money they are willing to use to buy Warner Brothers Discovery. Apparently enough that they've made multiple offers and raised the offers. Whether Netflix can outbid the Ellisons or not, I don't really know, but I would assume Netflix, which has only made minor acquisitions, probably is willing to go higher. probably can outbid Skydance this time, or Paramount Skydance in this case. Comcast often gets into these things to drive up the price. They don't really want to acquire the thing, but they've done that with Disney with their version of Hulu. They were like, well, maybe we'll buy Hulu from you instead as a negotiating tactic. I feel like Comcast isn't entirely unserious. They probably got a legitimate plan if they were to acquire Warner, but they're not really in it for the win. They're in it to drive up the price for their competitors. I feel like this makes so much sense for Netflix.
Tom,
they get the brands, they get the HBO brands. They can keep the HBO brand within Netflix because Warner has already done the work to make HBO a sub-brand of something. They are showing signs of wanting to do linear networks. Remember, they they agreed to a deal with TF1 in France to run a linear network inside of Netflix. What if Netflix's fast channels are actually like Warner Brothers Discovery channels? And of course, they get the film library and the intellectual property and Harry Potter and all of that, which would be the biggest win for acquiring this.
So 30 years ago, I was getting into magic, and my best friend from high school, Gordon, who since became a vice president at Warner Brothers, which crazy enough, we went to the magic auction, a bunch of old magic stuff that would sell at auction, and we would play auction chicken. And he lost twice, ended up buying the same crappy trick twice, didn't need it either time, wasn't a very good trick, but it was fun game to try to impress each other to see how high we could bid without owning something and everything. So it sounds to me like Comcast is playing auction chicken just to see how much trouble it can make for Netflix. Although I don't know that Comcast would hate it if it ended up owning Warner Brothers.
Yeah,
Discovery.
no, I think you're right. It's not, they're not looking at Warner Brothers as a bad magic trick that they already own. they are looking at Warner Brothers.
Maybe that's exactly what it is.
They are. I think like I said, I think they have a legitimate plan of like, well, if we got Warner Brothers, we could do this, and then we would spin off stuff over here. The other possibility is that Netflix doesn't want the linear channels, which would be the sensible way. Like, I'm looking at it with the crazy eyes of like, but they do have the TF1 thing, so maybe they would want the channels. But let's say they don't. They're like, yeah, we don't want your dying cable channels. Comcast could come in and buy those. They could do a joint offer, and Comcast buys the spinoff channels and rolls them into Versant and says, like, we're buying them for Versant, or technically, I guess Versant would buy them. But they put them in Versant because when they created Versant, they said, we are willing to do mergers down the road. Kind of indicating like maybe we'll be the last home for all these cable networks. We're creating Versant to be that place that winds them down and milks all the money out of them before we get reabsorbed into Comcast. Maybe they get some intellectual property along the way. I could see a team effort like that where Netflix says we want the studio, we want HBO, and we want all the library stuff, but we don't want the cable channels. And then Comcast says, great, we'll take the cable channels, we'll put them in Versant.
Although you're walking past, I think, one of your keenest observations. Longtimers know that you've said this before, but I love the fact that the Tom Merritt engine dictates if Netflix says it will never equals, it definitely is about to.
We have no interest in owning legacy media networks. Word for word, that's the quote.
Yep. Which I guarantee you, the moment I read that, I knew that Tom Merritt would be of the opinion that that's exactly
so your
what's
next
happening.
move is owning legacy media networks. I see. Very good. Usually there's a lag time between them saying that, but maybe the lag time is shorting. Maybe the latency is going down on this sort of thing. Who knows? I do find it fascinating that we have finally hit that point. I knew Hulu getting resolved and Warner Brothers getting sold were the signals that we are in the middle and on our way out of the consolidation phase. And Hulu got taken care of a while ago. Paramount became the next one. I was wrong. I thought Warner Brothers would be the next one. Paramount became the next one. And now we are waiting to see what happens with Warner. If Paramount gets Warner, then I think there will be some small pieces still left, but we'll kind of know the table. Paramount will have become big enough to try to make a play. If Netflix gets Warner Brothers, I think there's still a possibility that Skydance Paramount gets sold to somebody else.
Yeah, it's interesting. I had a conversation with Matt Donnelly, who was in town, and we were talking about the CW, he makes the joke in his stage show that he's on Penn and Teller's Fool Us, which is the #1 show on the CW, which is the equivalent of having the fanciest French restaurant in Alabama. And that always gets a laugh. But it got us talking about what even does it mean to be a CW at this point, because they never made a play for the online space. And you mentioned a consolidation phase, which earlier today, I guess my brain started to tickle about like, what is next in a world where the streaming empires are pretty well established and now in a zero-sum way they're fighting over territory? Do you have any speculative thoughts about like what new markets or new ways to even consume these IPs would be?
Yeah, I feel like we're seeing the early signs of the next battlefield, which will be bundles. So like first step, see if you can just own the IP, right? Second step, see if you can license the IP. And so we'll see a lot of the licensing stuff happening too. But licensing tends to be like an eternal struggle where you like license things for a while and then it gets moved on. And I think bundling will be the most immediate one. And we're already seeing lots of bundles happen. So we're going to see, this is one of those that'll get worse before it gets better situations where you will have so many bundles to choose from. It will be almost impossible without using ChatGPT or Anthropic's Claude to figure out which bundle is best for you. And then eventually the bundles will consolidate. And then we'll know like, oh, this is how you go about it.
So
Cable, just one last thing on that.
Sure.
Cable wants to be the ultimate bundler. DirecTV and Spectrum and Comcast are all making a play to be like, let us be the bundler for everything.
So I think you tapped into something fascinating, which is we're already comfortable with the idea of hybrid producers, humans who use chatbots or whatever to assist in the production of and get higher fidelity production out of them. You know, as independent broadcasters and creators, that's exactly what we do. But you just tickled something fascinating, the idea of hybrid consumerism, where right now there's a bunch of things that I would never recommend because there's too much friction, but no matter how many dumb steps are there, there's about to be no friction, because there'll be no expectation that anybody will not use an agent to navigate all the Byzantine existing structures. That's fascinating, Tom.
Yeah, and I think that's also going to happen because I know you've been on this topic for a while, because I feel like either coincident with that or right after it is the battle to be the platform, right? And right now the platforms are Apple TV, Amazon, Roku, and a little bit Google. And I think that is shaping up to be the next one, is like once the program providers, the content providers have figured it out, the bundling has decided how we're going to pay for all this stuff, then it becomes, how do we keep track of what's on and where? And who gets to control that discovery engine? Who gets to control the relationship? And for consumers, we're going to want it to be whatever it is we're using. Is it a Samsung TV? Is it Apple TV? Is it Roku? We want that to be simple and be able to turn it on and have it say, hey, there's a new episode of the show you watch. And here are the other shows you watch, so that you don't have to think about all of that stuff. And I think there's an interesting outside play for Google there to use Gemini as a way to make that really easy. And then if you're on a TV that uses Google TV, or you're using a box that uses Google TV, suddenly that becomes a lot easier to use.
So let me walk back an opinion I've held for a very long time. And you just kind of exploded my brains a little bit. I think Roku may be seriously undervalued because of its dominance in the platform stuff. In general, a Roku has meant an underpowered video servicing device. I've never been a fan of the laggy controls. I've never been a fan of the bloatware and stuff on there, but they are on all of the televisions, right? And now all of a sudden, a high friction thing, for example, rolling out a new operating system or whatever, is a big, messy affair. But if we're in hybrid, agentic, think about the Pioneer or Voyager space probes, right? Where it's like ancient tech all the way out there. There's engineers whose full-time job is to do nothing but figure out how to get the most of what they can from this thing that's out there on the edge of space. Now, all of those Roku devices, imagine agentic control with highly customized all the way down to individual firmware updates where you're only delivering the commands that essentially bring it up to regular speed latency. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And Roku is using some of those kinds of models. They've got a partnership with a company called Qwik, or Qwich. I don't know how to say it. They have a voice assistant that can answer questions, but I would look closely at how well that operates and keep an eye out for Roku to change that agreement. Either this is going to work really well with the partnerships they have, and that's fine, or you're going to see a big deal of like Roku has struck a partnership with Mistral, Anthropic, who knows, maybe even Google, to provide this kind of assistance to you within Roku. And then I think it really takes off. Because right now they're using a combination of a bunch of different LLMs, which is fine. I think what they're doing is seeing what works and trying to use what works best in what situation. But eventually they're going to want something that's really reliable and works all the time.
So imagine this, Tom. Imagine, let's say, like your Roku account is probably not very valuable unless you're watching the Weird Al biopic, right? But imagine that just by putting in your account information, it installs a specific version of Roku and gives you access to all of your content immediately in a very like programmed specifically for you, not for your demographic, not for your model or any of that. I mean, for you, the individual subscriber, that becomes possible. That's bonkers.
Yeah. And I think we're going to see that as the next battle, either along with or right after bundling, which is like, we make it easy to manage, to watch your television. And I know there's folks out there. In fact, there's a couple in our chat room who are like, wait a minute, didn't we like try to get rid of cable just to get rid of bundling? Yes, this bundling will be an improvement. You have to destroy the thing, and then you get total freedom, and then you realize the total freedom is not as great as you thought it was, and then you come back and you create a version of the previous thing, but you improve on it. And that's what the bundling is going to be, because you won't be locked into contracts that automatically double in price after a year. You'll actually have choice. You'll actually be able to remove things from your bundle and add things to your bundle without too much of a penalty. There'll be a pressure to be like, yeah, but I save some money if I do this, but you'll be able to do it. Whereas with cable, you didn't even have the choice. You couldn't remove things from your bundle. It was all written down for you. So yes, it's not as much freedom as we thought we would get, but it's still going to end up being an improvement over what we had.
Yeah.
That's how I look at our Patreon.
Well, I mean, unlike, oh, doggone it. Joshua Van Allen in the chat says, LOL, double in price every couple of months. And now that he mentions it, I think that's a great model for our Patreon going on.
Yeah.
Going forward. I think we should double. I think everybody should voluntarily double their donation at patreon.com/cordkillers.
That's the difference between us and cable. Cable would double your price for you as if you weren't capable. We know you are capable of doubling your price yourself.
Yeah, ask your agent, how do I double my donation to Cord Killers? By going to patreon.com/cordkillers.
Yeah, and it will say, no problem, I've got that for you. And it'll just do it for you, and you won't have to think about it ever again, and you'll get the satisfaction of knowing that I am not only beating inflation, you yourself are beating inflation single-handedly, but also making sure you give value back to Brian and Tom for the value we give you.
Heck yeah, dude. It's a little thing called the RSS feed that you're going to get. The RSS stands for really satisfying.
Yeah.
Satisfaction.
That's what it stands for.
Sorry, I'm definitely trying to fix my marquee over there. Patreon.com/cordkillers. You get your own RSS feed. You get early access to the full experience and of course, exclusive access to our Boss Talk segment and After Talk.
All right, let's move on to the search party.
The
We got a big old real trailer for Stranger Things, the final season. If you haven't been following along, first half of that season drops November 26th, which is the day after Thanksgiving, day before Thanksgiving. And then the second half comes on December 25th, which some people call Christmas. The final episode will air on December 31st, and you'll be able to watch that final episode in theaters, including AMC theaters, should you choose to.
Tom, what did you think of this trailer?
I thought it was boring.
I thought it
I'm
looked
sorry.
very un-Stranger Things-y. It looked like if Sci-Fi Channel were to do Stranger Things. It looked over the top and plasticky in a way that Stranger Things, but then again, I fell off, so I'm probably not the target demographic
I
anymore.
am caught up with Stranger Things, but I don't remember anything that happened in the last season I watched. So I'm probably the wrong person to ask.
Did they
Please,
do a
please,
fake out?
Stranger Things fans, cordkillers@gmail.com, explain to us why we're dead inside for not liking this trailer.
Yeah. Also, I thought the sheriff died or something.
Well, yeah, you haven't watched the season where we realize he's, surprise, spoiler, not dead.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess it's not it can't be a spoiler if he's in the trailer.
Well,
His
it's the
twin
trailer
brother.
spoiling you too. Yeah.
He shows up looking for Sheriff Punchington.
Also, if you remember when he died, we were all like, well, he's not dead. And then the trailer for the very next season showed him and we're like, oh, well, look, he's not dead. So he's not dead.
Also, like they didn't make it clear when he went to Russia and became like Russian Captain America. That was all confusing.
He actually goes to Russia in Stranger Things too.
Does he
so
really?
I was a
Oh my
little
God.
confused. I'm like, wait, did you see it?
That's amazing.
Yeah. Downton Abbey, the grand finale, which is the third and final cinematic chapter of the Downton Abbey series, has crossed the $100 million milestone at the global box office, passing the previous film, which only brought in $92.6 million.
The sun truly does not set on the empire of Downton
On the
Abbey.
Downton Empire. You know, I did a full rewatch of the entire TV series and all three movies, and I didn't realize I hadn't seen the last movie.
Oh, wow. That must
yeah.
have been fun.
So I was like, oh, I'm getting a twofer here. I didn't see the last movie and of course the brand new movie, which just came out. I understand why that last movie only made $92.6 million. Definitely the weakest entrant in the 6 seasons and 3 movies of Downton Abbey. Variety sources say The White Lotus will shoot season 4 in Paris on the French Riviera, and they might not be in a 4 seasons. Now, the White Lotus never says it's a 4 seasons. It's a White Lotus hotel, but they have partnered with 4 seasons on the shooting locations, but apparently they're looking at either La Lutetia or the Ritz for their location on the French Riviera.
Interesting.
Is it?
Well, it's interesting because the
Okay.
White Lotus is there's like a notoriety play when I am a big fan of these branding deals where it's like if you're in charge of the 4 seasons, you're rolling the dice. On the one hand, you have the opportunity to be the location of a HBO hit series. Also, it's a hit series about a place where terrible people encounter terrible things.
Yes, that was my point. Yeah.
Reliably.
That was the reason behind my is it? Because I'm like, so the murder part, that one's probably not great for your brand, but the
Right.
I want to be at the place where the White Lotus is. So yeah, I could see where the 4 seasons might be like, we're good. Like,
Well, and maybe, but also keep in mind other 4 seasons, like divorced from the characters or the situations, you could say, look at that place, attractive, right? Got
Yeah.
it. Maybe just the ones they have in France aren't that great.
I was going to say the same thing. It's like, it could also be that the White Lotus people are like, your French Riviera location isn't as great, so we might just go with somebody else. Disney Plus will no longer be involved with Doctor Who after being the primary place for the past 2 seasons. If you recall, Doctor Who aired on the BBC in the UK and Ireland, but was on Disney Plus everywhere else. That partnership is ended. However, it will return to being entirely a BBC production, so we don't know where it will end up. It's quite possible that BBC will foot the bill and still license it to Disney Plus. That could happen. It may not, though. They won't be tied to doing that. And a Christmas special is planned for next year, 2026. So no Christmas special this year, but they will get a Doctor Who Christmas special in 2026. And then Russell T. Davies says by then they'll know more about where they're going with the future seasons.
So when the breakup dinner happens and Disney Plus and BBC are at dinner together and Disney Plus looks right into the eyes of BBC and says, "It's not you, it's us," do we believe them?
I do.
Like, is this a case of Doctor Who underperformed for Disney Plus, or Disney Plus just went a different direction?
I think it's both. I think Disney Plus, I think Doctor Who underperformed Disney's expectations, but I also think Disney looked at it and said, this just doesn't fit with our profile that we're planning. It doesn't go with the Hulu originals. It doesn't go with the Disney kids stuff, even though it's technically a kids show.
Well, and also,
it just doesn't fit.
If BBC was a stronger franchise, then it could be one of the core pillars, the way National Geographic is. But I don't think BBC has that foothold in American culture.
I feel like it fits on HBO, honestly.
Oh, absolutely. I could see
right?
that.
So what if, let's play 5-6D chess, Netflix buys HBO, then does a deal with Doctor Who.
Do you think Apple TV, would that be too far afield for them? It's a bit of esoterica.
No, actually, it would fit with Apple TV as well. And again, the deal with Disney was financing it. In the past, the BBC has financed it and then licensed it out, right, to BBC America or Sci-Fi Network or wherever. And so this could end up with Disney just saying, it's just not worth the money for us, but we'll pay for a license. And the BBC says, fine, as long as we got some flexibility to put it on different streaming platforms in different parts of the world.
Oh, that's interesting. So the customer experience would be totally unchanged.
Could
It
be.
would still
Could
be the
be.
place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing it won't be. I'm guessing this is a total breakup, and we'll see Doctor Who show up somewhere else. Maybe Apple TV.
You know what?
We'll
know it was a bad breakup if, like, next time we see the Doctor, he looks like a totally different person, new personality, new fit. I mean, then we'll know that.
And you're like, wait a minute, he used to be a girl, now he's a guy. What's up with that? You know what? The reason Apple won't go with it is BBC will want to continue to maintain exclusivity in the UK market. And Apple doesn't love that. Netflix plays that game all the time. They're fine with it.
Yeah.
So maybe Netflix will just do it. Maybe Netflix will be the home for it. I don't know. Speaking of, Netflix released a trailer for season 56 of Sesame Street, which will premiere November 10th. It will continue to be available on PBS and PBS Kids stations in the U.S. and will premiere on PBS and Netflix at the same time.
Did you watch the trailer for this, Tom?
I did.
So I noticed a little bit of the plasticky 2D look that seems to be popular in kids' entertainment these days.
Yeah.
I noticed fewer humans than I'd like to see in a Sesame Street
Very Muppety.
show.
Yeah.
There was one moment that I really dug, which was putting the N of Netflix and never saying the word Netflix.
Yeah.
It was just the letter N in the middle of a Sesame Street ad. I guarantee you that was a thoughtful placement on there.
Brought to you by the letter N. I've actually, when they went to HBO before this, I watched a trailer and had the same reaction, which is I haven't seen Sesame Street in any kind of like sustained manner since my brother was a child. And my brother stopped being a child in the 80s. So I'm like, I miss the old Sesame Street, but I'm sure kids love this one. Netflix has set March 10th for the season 2 premiere of One Piece. I feel like we've undercovered One Piece. One Piece is a phenomenon around the world.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is the live action adaptation of the anime.
Of the
right?
anime, yeah.
Yeah.
Will we get a reprise of True Detective Season 1? Here's the story. Nick Pizzolatto, who has not made the past couple of seasons of True Detective, but made seasons 1 and 2, said that Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson were open to the idea of another story if he had the right story for them. McConaughey backed him up, told NME that if Nick put something on paper and Woody thought it was good enough, it wouldn't even be a choice. They would look at it and go, it must happen. It's got to be damn good, though, said McConaughey, because we set a pretty good precedent. So he's saying, if it's good enough, hell yeah, we'd love to do it, but we want it to be good. And then on the third hour of Today's Show, Harrelson said, Matthew's so funny. In fairness, never. No chance, because it turned out great. I love that it turned out the way it did. And if anything, doing another season would, I think, tarnish that. So you're saying there's a chance, Woody?
I mean, to be honest, you might as well announce, like, okay, let's say it was 100% confirmed. You know what I'd do? I'd make sure Woody Harrelson said exactly those words so that you can tout how big the quality threshold
It must have been amazing. Woody signed on. Yeah. Thursday, Disney and ESPN disappeared from YouTube TV. Remember, we've been talking about them discussing this, and other channels were disappearing, but they kept the channels on for the month of October under the old agreement while they discussed things. Well, they didn't come to an agreement, and they pulled the channels in response. So now we're getting our old-fashioned carriage disagreement, like how do we appeal to the voters? ESPN made College Game Day, which is their college sports coverage of football, available for free on X and on the ESPN mobile app. Disney removed its apps, movies, and TV shows from the Google Play Store and took down the YouTube channels for its TV networks. YouTube TV subscribers, on the other hand, are being offered a $10 monthly credit for the next 6 months to compensate them for the removal of Disney channels from the platform.
Now, taking down a YouTube channel, I guess literally take down the channel or make everything unlisted, or what kind of bulk activities? I suppose I
assume they would just make everything unlisted, right? So that they can put it back up once this is all done. But there is no channel there for this stuff on YouTube, meaning if you want to watch excerpts and episodes, you have to go elsewhere. And I'm not even sure where that would be, except maybe Disney Plus. But then you're just watching the whole episode.
Do you think, crazy idea, do you think that we're primed now that YouTube has won the content wars so hard? Are we primed for an alternative to YouTube, a real alternative to YouTube? And what would that look like? What would that offer that YouTube doesn't offer? I know that
I've been waiting for that for a long time, right? Like which is it? Dailymotion? Is it Vimeo? Nope, it's not Vimeo. Dailymotion seems to be happy being European centered. Is it Youku or one of the Chinese ones? Nope, they're happy being Asia centered. I don't know. I don't know if anybody can compete at the scale YouTube has. At this point, it would take a very large company that is very well financed and committed to losing money on it for quite a while to do it.
Well, so a couple of things. Like Vimeo originally was, they were owning the higher end, more creator control tier. Like, for example, if you had a demo reel that you wanted to password protect, if you wanted it high quality, 1080p, et cetera, if you wanted no ads and more control, then Vimeo made sense. But YouTube won the quality war as well. And by and large, yes, Rumble makes a noise about how they don't control saucy, spicy talk, right?
Right.
But I don't know that YouTube has a bad reputation for squeezing people out on that.
No, and your average consumer uses YouTube because thing I want to watch is there.
Right.
And that's the insurmountable advantage that all of the other platforms have is, yes, you have a thing I want to watch, but everything I want to watch is on YouTube with few exceptions.
Yeah.
So
also the algorithm, there's really two YouTubes. First of all, it's a miracle that there's a free, what's it called where you host it's not MCN. What am I thinking of?
CDN.
CDN. It's a free CDN that somehow pays you, which is a miracle. And then on top of that, you have the algorithmic layer where it is a true meritocracy, not in terms of absolute quality, but in terms of viewer attention. It will serve up the relevant content to your demographic.
I think it would take an Amazon, which has a cloud service it can leverage, or a Microsoft, which has a cloud service it could leverage, Microsoft has never been good with content. Amazon is good with certain kinds of content, but it never has seemed to be very good with user created content. So yeah, I don't know. To bring it back to this dispute though, they're going to solve this. They're going to resolve this. They're going to come to an agreement. These things always do. And then all those channels are going to go back up on YouTube. And I'm not sure how many other companies besides Disney have the wherewithal to survive doing that. Because they didn't take down the Disney Plus channel. They didn't take down the Disney Parks channel. They just took down the network channels. And Disney, has some resources that they can do that with. Maybe a Comcast could do that too, but not many others are.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the buried treasure.
Most people want to know why they suddenly got rich.
Buried treasure.
This is the segment of the show where we talk about stuff we've been watching. Maybe you'll want to add it to your watch list. Brian, what you been watching?
Dude, on your recommendation, I checked out The Chair Company. Did we already talk about it?
No, what'd you think?
Oh my God. I loved it. I was a bit surprised by how similar the flavor of The Chair Company is to the movie Friendship. And then I found out that it's from the same director. And so it plays with the same themes of status and positioning. You've got the main character who's in over his head. He got a promotion. He's the boss. And you could tell he's not comfortable in the role of the boss. So he does all these things to sort of sabotage his position in there. And meanwhile, in a very primal way, kind of, bad attitudes rolled downhill. So he finds somebody lower on the totem pole to rattle his cage. It's fascinating. It also does repeatedly this incredible thing of getting into the headspace of a very weird small world problem. A literal cockroach crawls into a USB-C port of a phone, and then somebody sees it, and you don't know whether or not to tell the other person. And you're all the way in that headspace of this tiny world problem, and then it hits you with a big world problem. Somebody punches somebody, and, as Justin pointed out, oftentimes, this is my co-host, Justin Robert Young, oftentimes in I Think You Should Leave sketches, anything's possible. Like the whole world might be supernatural in some sketch. And The Chair Company is sitting comfortably in a superposition of, I don't know how wacky this world is. I don't know if at some point they'll casually refer to the king, and maybe this is an America that has a king or something. I mean, anything seems to be possible, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, and I love that they lure you into thinking, well, he's obviously overreacting. He's obviously being ridiculous. Like he's got a problem with a chair and he's imagining a conspiracy, because obviously we'd rather there be a vast conspiracy than just like, it was an accident and embarrassing for you to have that chair break down. And then they immediately hit you with, or is it? Here's evidence that it might actually be something to it, right? And so there's a little bit of Severance in there as well, of like, oh, there's a secret world beyond this that we have no idea. And just like you have a room full of goats in Severance and you're like, what's that about? You have a huge red ball in a warehouse and you're like, what's that about? Is it just a red ball?
Yeah. Although there's an indicator that it might just be a red ball. I don't know how far in you are. I haven't seen this week's episode, but the first three, non-zero chance. It's in a perfect superposition of maybe something real is about to get found out, or maybe all these characters are all chasing their tails and no idea.
Yeah. And who is scamming who? Who can you trust? All of those threads get pulled on. And you think, oh, I definitely can't trust that person. Oh, wait, he's proven trustworthy. But can I trust them? It's great. If you just like to be kept guessing and you like some funny situations like in I Think You Should Leave or Friendship, definitely check out The Chair Company.
It is unsettling, though. I can't imagine binging this.
I watched 2 episodes last night, back to back. Now, they're only 30 minutes, so that's only an hour. That's about as much as I could handle at one sitting.
Right? Okay, so I'm not crazy on that.
No, not at all. Well, I watched the World Series, and apparently I was not alone. Game 7 of the Baseball World Series hit an 8-year high on Fox, drawing 26 million viewers. Now, you could say, oh, well, it had the Los Angeles Dodgers. LA's a big market when you have big market teams. Last year was LA and New York. This beat that, and one of the teams is in Canada. So the fans of that team in Toronto, they don't count. They don't watch Fox. They watch Sportsnet, which is a Canadian network. So just with the American viewers, you drew in 26 million. I think it was because, and this is across platforms, by the way, this isn't just Fox broadcast. This is streaming and everything together now. I think it was because this was a good series.
That's what I hear.
You had good games. They were fun to watch. You were in doubt who was going to win at any given moment. They're fairly, for whatever you hear in the sports press, they're fairly evenly matched teams. There wasn't one that deserved to win more than the other, at least from my point of view. They both had very good squads, and you had things that have never happened before in baseball, or at least not since the 1800s kind of stuff with Shohei Ohtani. And I think that's the biggest part of it is last year, Shohei Ohtani was only batting. This year, Shohei Ohtani pitched and batted, which if you don't follow baseball, that hasn't happened for a long time. Pitchers have batted in one of the leagues, but they got rid of that a couple of years ago. And even then, the pitchers were bad. When the pitcher got up, you knew they would get out. There was a game where Shohei Ohtani struck out 10 people as a pitcher and hit 3 home runs.
Wow.
So this is you are watching arguably the best player to ever play the game. And he's going to do amazing things. And then you also had another pitcher, Yamamoto, came over from Japan, who pitched a complete game, which again, pitchers don't do that anymore. That's too hard on their arms. So you had that kind of stuff. And it was fun to watch. I tended to watch it on DirecTV Stream. I tried watching it on MLB, which you can authenticate and get your Fox streamed through there, which is how I'd been watching most of the playoffs. But for some reason, it would do weird things like skip back all the way to the beginning of the game unexpectedly, and so I just ended up watching DirecTV Stream most of the time.
Do you feel any of that pull, that tickle demanding that you get rid of that 7 seconds of lag and watch like with rabbit ears?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I was like, I'm going to watch the World Series over the air this year and not have that delay. There's one LA broadcast station that I can't get over the air from where I live, and it's the Fox station.
That's funny. That's funny.
So I ended up, that's the other reason I watched it on DirecTV Stream. If you got something we should be on the lookout for, email us cordkillers@gmail.com. Brian, you've been cooking up something special in the shop.
Yeah, dude. So we're coming up on Christmas season, and here's the thing. Everything that I've ever done that you've ever seen, it's an inverse funnel. I heard it called a pyramid scheme. Eventually, at the bottom level, I try to sell you used to be lockpicks. Not this year. This year, I'm going to make everything much more approachable. Oh, that's really funny. I totally, there we go. This year, I'm going to make everything more approachable. So much magic. So much magic. Let me get rid of myself. We got magic at scamstuff.com. It's gear for the modern rogue. You have not seen this tongue-tied trick. It is awesome. If you go to Scam School, youtube.com/Scam School, you'll see a 3-minute video where Alex Rangel performs tongue-tied for Josie. It is hilarious because it's one of those, it gets awkward while everyone waits for the payoff, and then it gets really, really funny. And then it turns out to be an amazing trick where essentially no hands, you have an inspected balloon. Anybody can do this, by the way. Anybody could do this within 15 minutes of opening the package. They open up a bag of balloons. They pick out a balloon. They hand you a balloon. You put the balloon in your mouth. You hold your hands up. You inflate the entire balloon, doing some gymnastics with your tongue behind the scenes in your mouth, and then you pop out the balloon, and it's tied. You tie a balloon into a knot with your tongue. It's amazing.
Yeah, and that sounds like something where you would say, well, I'm sure it's easy for Brian, but I couldn't do it. And what you're saying is, no. When you buy this, you really will be able to do it.
Yes, everybody could do it. It's beginner to intermediate level. It's very, very easy. Everyone can do it.
Excellent. Where do you get it?
Scamstuff.com. That's gear for the modern rogue. And that's just the beginning. Today is what? November 4th. I'm hoping to have a new product every single week. We, of course, have the Ballyhoo Puzzle Box, which has in it over 100 tricks, the best of Scam School, and membership to the secret Roustabout Society, where you get rare bonus and extras.
Yeah, if nothing else, go watch the video, folks, because you'll have a good time doing that, and then you might be able to pull it off yourself in front of your friends or family. That is the Modern Rogue, the gear for the Modern Rogue, I should say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Scam stuff.
Scamstuff.com. Let's scan the horizon. Scam.
Send a scanning to aboard.
Scanning the horizon!
YouTube ad revenue topped $10 billion for the first time in a single quarter. That's up 16% on the year. It is riding a 2.5-year streak as the top streaming destination in Nielsen's The Gauge rankings, which we talk about all the time. The number of channels earning more than $100,000 annually is up 45% this year versus last. YouTube also announced some new features coming. It's going to upscale your lower quality videos to 1080p. In the near future, Google plans to do super resolution to upgrade things to 4K. The YouTube homepage is going to have a traditional channel surfing vibe. They're starting to realize, like, we're TV, so maybe we should present ourselves a little more like TV. So you'll get immersive previews of popular channels that you can flip through and get snippets of content that way.
Yeah, I got to tell you, we're going to have to. Part of the reason I was asking, like, what does it even mean to be a CW is because you can already see AI upscaling at the fringes. For example, there are clips of this very show because when you and I are talking and the thing that pulls out shorts, like, our faces are so low resolution, YouTube of its own initiative will just upscale it. You'll see a little bit of kind of angly kind of facial edges that are too precise by half. There's no reason why that can't happen to all of the long form videos. There's no reason that the channel flipping experience can't have YouTube algorithmically figure out, for example, imagine going to the Scam School channel, and as you flip through, it algorithmically has already cooked the past 20 years of content, figured out the best, most hook-worthy moments in the back catalog of stuff, and just starts with that and re-edits the content in a way that pleases that YouTube rhythm of things. I'm really curious to see where stuff heads from here. It's going to be fascinating.
Yeah, and it continues to be clear that YouTube believes it is and is acting like it is, and the numbers bear out that it is TV. Like, when you turn on the TV, more and more people are turning on YouTube. Then they might go to Netflix. Then they might go to Disney Plus. But YouTube is sort of the default destination for a lot of people these days.
Yep.
Comcast lost 104,000 broadband customers during its last earnings period. This is something I've been tracking very closely because we kind of got tired of saying, yeah, they lost their cable subscribers. Of course they did. But it's interesting to see them lose broadband customers because you think that would be the thing they should be pretty good about. It's the fourth consecutive quarter of losses. And Peacock, which is the future of Comcast television strategy, was flat. 41 million subscribers. So not great. They want to see growth, but at least it didn't drop. And they're headed into a season of NBA and the Olympics and all of that. So you'll probably see Peacock grow more in the coming year.
Yeah, this is one of those where, branding and positioning, there tends to be a dominant figure, a counterculture figure, a spicy one, and a couple more. And Peacock is firmly entrenched in the rest of this. And we, of course, want more choices, but not too many choices.
Tubi, speaking of another choice, rose its revenue 27% on the year. Viewing time up 18%. It is now making more money than it spends. Fubo subscribers also rose. Two different things. Tubi, free ad-supported television owned by Fox. Fubo, a paid TV subscription. Its subscribers rose to 1.63 million and beat revenue expectations. That was the last quarter of Fubo as an indie, though. Disney now owns Fubo. And so if you add those 1.63 to the existing Hulu Plus Live TV subscribers, you get about 6 million subscribers to Live TV under Disney.
Yeah.
Disney Plus is also making its first foray into HDR10 Plus. That's high dynamic range version 10 Plus. That means it's not only looking better, it's looking even better. But access to the content will be limited at the start. About 1,000 shows from Hulu will be available with HDR10 Plus. Disney Plus is the first to offer HDR10 Plus on Samsung Crystal UHD TVs. For models dating back to 2018, as well as on Samsung Select smart monitors. It's basically an alternative to Dolby Vision. If you've heard of Dolby Vision, HDR10 is a version of that, and HDR10 Plus expands and builds on HDR10.
Now, real quick for the non-technical whose name is Brian, HDR is just a marketing gimmick, or it actually is? It has to do with the dynamic range, the brightness, and the brighter.
HDR is the thing that makes 4K worth it right now. 4K, you can't really tell, but it allows you to do better things with HDR, to make contrasts better, to make the picture look a lot better. So if you look at a 1080p image and a 4K image and you're like, well, the 4K image clearly looks better, it's probably because it has HDR on it. Mm-hmm. Mogul, the film studio fantasy platform that was created by MoviePass, launched out of private beta on Wednesday. The platform is now available as a public beta, still in beta, but you can join. It's designed specifically for the industry. So you play as an owner of a film studio. You draft your actors, your directors, and your movies, and then you earn points based on each of their performance.
Is this gambling yet?
With cryptocurrencies, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you consider cryptocurrencies to be real money, yes. If you don't, then I don't know how you could say it's gambling. It's just made up money, right?
That's interesting.
Amazon began scanning Fire TV sticks for apps that have been identified by the Alliance for Creativity and Entertainment as providing access to pirated content, and Amazon will block you from installing and running those apps. So you don't get in trouble for having installed them, but they won't run anymore.
I think this is a very savvy strategy. I think that in general, the problem with what we've seen is that pirates don't love piracy for piracy's sake. Usually they have some kind of moral-ish argument about it's not available. Canonically, we've talked about how Game of Thrones was notorious because HBO refused to have a legitimate way to do it, and then they got, it was the most pirated stuff ever. And in general, campaigns to attack pirates on moral grounds have been laughable and not good ideas, whether it's ads guilting people who are stealing cable because they moved in and it was on, or the notorious RIAA MP3 ads that guilted people for stealing music. But this is a clever play in that it's targeted and that it is face saving and it doesn't take on piracy directly. I think this is a smart move.
Yeah. I mean, you may have a problem with it, but Amazon owns the operating system and the App Store, so they can decide what stuff runs on their operating system, which is going to bother a lot of people who think an operating system ought to stay out of your way and let you run whatever code you want. But if you feel that way, go install Linux on your own thing and manage it yourself.
And also,
right?
Amazon also has enough of vested interest. They've got content that they'd like to see protected as well. So,
yeah. Apple TV announced a new sound. Remember, we mentioned they're changing the name, and we're slowly starting to see that filter out. So it's not Apple TV Plus anymore. It's just Apple TV, whether you're talking about the app or the device or the shows, the service. It is Apple TV, and there is a new sound. Would you like to hear the new sound?
I would love to hear it again.
Okay, here's the old sound. All right, that's the old sound. It's just a piano chord. Here's the new sound. So they added some notes.
I'm a bit surprised by that. You get a sense of kind of a place, but that's a long time to get the whole signature of it in your head, as opposed to that one chord.
Yeah. And what I find interesting is that you tend to not change those sounds because people identify the sound with your brand. Right. And that's what you want. You want to hear, bum, 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 bum. And you're like, oh, I know what that is. And so that's a big deal to say like, oh, we're not going to be the Intel sound anymore. We're going to change it around. Mm-hmm. Finally, speaking of brands, MSNBC will change its name to MS Now starting November 15th. We knew they were going to change the name. Now we know when. MSNBC is, of course, one of the cable networks that will spin off from Comcast into a company called Versant. The date of the spinoff has not been announced yet, but I assume that the name change is related to the spinoff date, and the spinoff is supposed to happen before the end of the year. So I'm not saying Versant's going to spin out exactly on November 15th, but it can't be too far off from that.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the chatter. Cordkillers@gmail.com is the place to go if you want to send us an email. Well, it's not the place to go. It's the address you should type into your email. As an F1 fan, Ben is disappointed. Why? Because F1 is moving to Apple. Budget-conscious F1 viewers in the United States used to be able to get a $30 a year subscription that did not include live races, but full race replays were available the next day. Now I have to decide if I want to add an Apple TV subscription for 9 months of the season, which will cost me $117. My family keeps our streaming spending low by only having one service active at a time and hopping around by month to watch different shows. I don't want bundling. Maybe next season I'll switch to the official 10-minute race highlights that F1 posts on YouTube after each race, but I know that decreased experience just ends in me not watching F1 at all anymore.
Yeah.
This is an edge case probably, but it's a fair case to be like, yeah, I don't want the rest of it. I don't want to pay that much for it. So I'm an advocate of like, don't look at what you're not going to use. Look at what you're going to use and then evaluate the price of that. And what I've been very reasonably is saying is $117 is a little too rich for me. $30 was where it was at. So that's totally fair. Richard says, the fundamental thing for me that is missing from the whole video entertainment situation is the complete lack of tool and or protocol for lining up what I want to watch in a playlist so I can just watch in release order like I do with my audio podcasts. Podcast apps and RSS feeds basically replace talk and entertainment radio for me. I have about 30 sources of videos, YouTube, streaming services, free-to-air TV, and the sports streams that I watch. I have to go to each platform to figure out where I am with each show so I can watch it. And those platforms don't let me hide all the things I have already watched or never ever want to watch. And it's just a giant pain. And he goes on to talk about the good old days of VHS
that
recordings.
Experience, let's go back full circle, Tom. I think that within 1 year, there's going to be an agentic Pocket app, whether it's your ChatGPT, your Gemini, you name it, and that wish that you have, speak it, and it will become true in your pocket.
I mean, I don't even think it'll be an app. I think it will be the platform you watch your TV shows on. Apple TV, Roku, and Google all have, and Fire TV, all have a version of this where they will track shows for you and show you which one is up next when it's new. Show you your favorite sports team when it's on. I use it on Apple TV. I find it indispensable. The problem with it is not everybody plays ball. So when Netflix has a new show, it doesn't show up because Netflix and Apple don't have an agreement on whether they're allowed to do that or not. And we're going to work all that stuff out. And there's going to be agentic ways. And whoever has the best agentic way, you're not going to think of it as agentic. You're not going to think about it as, is this AI? It's just going to be, oh, when I watch Roku, it seems to always know what I want to watch and puts it up there. Makes it easy for me. That's why I've switched to Roku. It's going to be something like that.
Yep.
Mike in Mississippi says, I'm another of those replay TV people that worried Brian so much. I chose Replay TV over TiVo, mainly because they offered a sanctioned way to transfer recordings to your computer, which TiVo at the time did not. This functionality could also be used to send a recording to another Replay TV over the internet if you knew the IP address, but there was no way to know what anyone else had without posting a request on a forum. The community took this and ran with it, creating a service called Pooply, where users could list the contents of their DVRs for others to request shows. When the writing was on the wall that TiVo had won the DVR battle, Replay TV went out of business instead of making an HD model. I think the founder may have won the war, though, because his next venture was something called Roku.
Wow, what a twist. What a great letter.
Yeah, no, that was great, Mike. Appreciate that. And finally, Sean writes, Lessons in Chemistry is a historical drama set in the 1950s, and Brian has said that TV and films can be world building, plot, or character driven. This Apple TV miniseries is all the character development that one could want, and I thoroughly enjoyed the time spent getting to know these characters. And he says a lot more about Brie Larson.
That's a good recommendation. Thank you, Sean.
Yep. Thank you very much, Sean. That's going to do it for us, folks. Our website is cordkillers.com. Our email address is cordkillers@gmail.com. And we are live on twitch.tv/nightattack and youtube.com/modernrogue Tuesdays at 5:30 p.m. Eastern, 2:30 p.m. Pacific. I reckon we'll talk to you next time.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Hey, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed this program. Vampire Anarchy's mom loved Lessons in Chemistry.
I know I enjoyed the program. I haven't seen Lessons in Chemistry.
I enjoyed this program. I have also not seen Lessons in Chemistry. So there you go. Amos! Hi, Zoe Brings Bacon.
You know, now seems like a good time for me to bring out my surprise, since I promised people there would be a surprise this week.
Oh, is it a monster at the end of this book?
It could be. I don't think it's at the end of it. It might be right in the middle.
Yeah, what's the surprise?
Let me go grab it.
Everybody's leaving their desk for surprises. Brian's surprise is the coffee machine worked. Amos' surprise is coming shortly. I think I might know what the surprise is too, and you're going to love it. I'm just going to say, if you don't love it, you're dead inside. Come on in, Amos. Some surprises are more cooperative than others in revealing themselves. So, you know, it takes a little preparation, but it's usually worth the wait. And I don't mean wait, W-E-I-G-H-T. I mean tiny little puppy. Hello, puppy. Yeah, the one-handed headphone move.
Yeah.
Who's this?
This is Rue.
Hi, Rue. You look bigger than the last time I saw you, which was only a few days ago.
We took her to the vet last night. She's clocking in at 6.5 pounds.
6.5 pounds. Such a big girl. Getting bigger all the time.
She is our white German Shepherd.
She's probably going to be what, 50?
Yeah, she's pretty small.
Yeah.
Nothing like my last couple of German Shepherds topping out at like 110.
Now, I just saw the thumbs up show up on your screen after she stuck her tongue out, which is hilarious.
That's awesome. Hey, I got a little bit distracted during the show because of the special appearance on both of our screens of the sun. I enjoyed it. Did you? I don't know if you saw, but because of the time change, the sunset reflects, and then I had this glow on this side of my face, and then I didn't notice. Sun peeking through in the back of your set as well.
Yeah, right there.
Oh my God, Rue, what a sweetie.
Rue is the best.
So I will be right back because little Miss Rue needs to use the restroom real quick.
Okay.
Well,
Rue, go get some coffee.
Yep. Insist that it's the coffee that takes so long.
I still don't know why your listing of the Race for Life was episode 33.
Oh, yeah, that's just what it happened to be on Amazon.
Amazon must consolidate one pair of episodes into a single episode.
Yeah.
But there's so many part ones and part two. That's what surprised me. It was like, well, why would they consolidate any of the episodes?
Yeah. So the I don't want to dip into that material just yet.
I'm
trying to think
looking
of-
up
I could tell you a
episode
silly story.
34, The Race for Life. Yeah.
So, Tom,
Yes.
I did something very silly. We've already
you
recorded Great Night, and Justin Robert Young isn't here for it.
Okay.
Matt Donnelly is in San Antonio at the Magic Saloon.
Yeah.
He drove up today, and we recorded it in here. And I don't know why. Partly because like I'm trying to learn everything inside and out, so I always want to challenge myself. So rather than use the studio as a studio, I was like, yeah, it's kind of like a cave in here. Well, let's try to do it on the porch. I have a crazy idea. So I took all 3 cameras, and they were just long enough on the HDMI tethers to set up a 3-camera shoot on the porch. And then I used USB extenders, and I was able to get the Stream Decks far enough out there that I was able to have the camera selection on all 4 of them on there.
Yeah.
But then and there was a button that I could press to start the recording, but then I thought, man, I can't monitor it. So I cranked up the volume loud enough that while we talked into the mics, I could hear that it was
happening. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly, right? But I had no way to monitor that it was actually being recorded with the VU meter or that the record light was on. And then I realized there was a 4th button on here. There we go. So so I took so you can see 3 of those still show the shots from earlier today. The 4th one is the live program feed on a button. So I just aimed the webcam looking at the vMix, and I was able to glance down and see.
Okay, it's still going.
Both that the VU was going and that the thing is,
on the button. That's amazing.
Yeah, right?
Yeah,
I thought it was so stupid.
Just a tiny little confidence monitor. That's all.
it was great. Yeah, just to know.
So Eileen was watching a live stream from one of the members of BTS, Jungkook, who's trying to set up his own game streaming platform. And I think he mentioned he was using OBS, but he's like, he's putting up cameras and all this stuff. And at one point, the camera just starts moving on its own and shows the wall. And everybody in chat is like, hey, we can't see you anymore. And he's like, what do you mean you can't see me anymore? And he looks up and he's like, why did you do that? And then he does this and he brings it back over with his hand. I'm like, I think he's using the Ozbot.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because that's all Ozbot behavior.
Yeah. Oh, got it. It like mapped onto something else and went.
And then he was able to use a gesture to just bring it back. And
I'm in the middle of fighting with Ozbot about one of the 3 cameras. I've noticed after it runs for a while will drop frames, and I think it's overheating and
oh, really?
dropping frames on there.
Is it with the older model or is it the new one?
No. It's one of the Tail 2s. And for all I know, it could be that I fixed it just by dusting the vents. But they're insisting that I catch it in the act. And then also, and I'm like, dude, they're like, well, what kind of output or capture are you using? I'm like, no. This is on the SD card.
Yeah,
This is internal. There's no excuse for
the capture is not part of the equation.
But they somebody somewhere on the other side of the planet needs to check a box, so I'm gonna try to catch it.
I mean, it's not impossible that some capture cards send an errant signal or something, but it's not very likely. So I would think it's a big.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, that worked out perfect because my daughter came home right as Rue was outside pottying. So now my daughter has taken Rue, and I don't have to
handed over the
reins.
Yeah. Very nice. The poop reins. I test the reins.
Down in Africa.
Up in Alaska.
Here I come. Here comes
All right,
Speed Racer. Let's do it.
I gotta adjust my little thing here.
Say hello to your little friend.
Was it the race for life?
The race for life. For life.
Good. You almost tricked me into talking before it was time. It's not time for talking.
It's time for thinking.
Lowest. Okay. Done. All right. Let's do this.
Here we go. In 3, 2. Welcome to The Full Experience. This is the show that watches but 4 episodes of any given television series in order to see if we can catch the flavor of the entire run of that series. We watch the first, the ultimate, the lowest, and the last. We are in the middle of our journey to enjoy Speed Racer, watching the lowest rated episode on IMDb, Season 1, Episode 34, The Race for Life, which is sometimes referred to as Episode 33. If you're using Amazon, I'm Tom Merritt. He's Brian Brushwood.
Yeah, but the important part is, goodness. Tom, I had high hopes for the beginning of this one because one of the things that we notice in The Full Experience is every so often the lowest rated episode of an entire series is lowest rated because it's the one that was most audaciously trying something unusual. And I thought for a second that this would be one of those episodes. Instead, it's one of those episodes where it's the lowest rated because it is the most cliched version of the thing. It's what people who don't understand Speed Racer think Speed Racer is. And it's like,
yes. And, you know, I forgot to mention January 12th, 1968 is when this first aired. So, you know, let's note that for the record.
Sure,
this is not a recent episode. My problems with this episode are not era dependent, though. Supercharged Formula One, not a lot of dialogue. There was some showing, not telling. I'll give it that. You know, there was some visual storytelling. But the Mach 5 landed on a raft and has feet and saws. Not that that's bad.
So let me tell you.
It was slow and predictable. I think that was my problem with this. And I didn't have an issue with any particular thing other than the pacing. And I knew exactly where it was going and it went there.
On paper, there's a lot of things they did exactly right. The opening with real stakes, a person appearing to be killed over a magic MacGuffin box that has something called the serum. Like, I'm like, oh my God, a mystery box right at the beginning, real stakes. We're in an exotic location. We see a reimagining of the Mach 5 as a whatever type of race car that was. I was here for all of on paper, the various set pieces, exploring a different culture, you know, seeing, was it Mexico or Spain or what was,
it was, in fact, Dominic, South America.
Got it. Dominic, South America, as viewed through the lens of Japanese artists or whatever. On paper, these are all great things. A set piece in which the Mach 5 is on the water. Can it become a submarine? I don't know. Kind of halvesies, I guess. But ultimately, this failed because of one thing: pacing.
Yeah.
Just the pacing was too luxurious. I think this would have been a great 15-minute episode.
It was really slow in the first half. It did pick up in the second a little bit. I thought it was cool to see the Mach 5 tech like you're talking about. I thought the little fake out where Spritle had the serum was at least interesting. You know, it didn't shock me or surprise me, but I'm like, oh, okay, that's not just, you know, totally on rails. I did note that the character was called Francisco Franco at a time when Spanish dictator Francisco Franco was still alive.
Oh, wow.
So I'm not sure if that was just kind of unaware, like, the leader of Spain's called Franco. We'll just call him Franco. Also, you just get to take over as there's no election for the mayor in this town. Just, you know, if somebody dies and you're the biggest guy on the block, you get to be mayor next.
This was nearly 100 years ago, Tom.
I suppose so. Also, he just burns the village. Like, that was a little random. Yeah, I don't know. We also finished with a slip and fall. Did you catch that? Like,
no,
he just
to be
trips,
honest, I really fell off at the end. I try to give all the shows their due. This one, you can fairly ding Brian Brushwood for completely losing interest in the last 4 minutes.
My last note is I really couldn't wait for it to end.
Yep. I am so right with you.
Like you said, there's some interesting elements, and on paper, it's a decent concept. This one they did not execute, and I think it deserves its 5.6 out of 10 rating.
Well, and keep in mind also that it did the thing that if I were to unfairly make a cartoon explanation of what Speed Racer is, it's a bunch of nonsense set pieces without any kind of connective tissue, and then.
Yeah, and
that's
car does
literally what
fun
this
thing.
was.
Car go fast. Car
Right.
be like this, and they did that too. Yeah.
And I guess it was all the more painful because the opening had enough promise that I thought something really cool could happen, but.
Yeah, at first I was just
they were even playing with themes of jealousy, which I thought was interesting. Like, ooh, a little love triangle thing.
Yeah. And at first I just thought it was a little slow and, a little simple with like Dominic, South America, because you didn't want to pick an actual country. Like, okay, that's fine. I was fine with it. I was charmed by that, but then it was just too slow. So yeah, unfortunately I don't have a whole lot more to add to that.
I don't
because
either. Amos, did you catch this one?
Oh, I sure did.
And
was it your favorite?
are we, tell us why we're so wrong.
You're wrong, completely wrong, in that you think I'm going to have a reason that you're wrong.
Damn it.
The double reversal twist.
I agree completely. It started out with an interesting concept, the visual storytelling, the guy running down the streets and the sniper action. I was surprised. This is like 3 times in the, one of the things I mentioned in the first episode was that they didn't show the pain, the torment, the actual hitting. They kind of alluded to it. And here he actually shot, the bullet came out the gun and then the guy falls on the ground with blood. Like, it's like, okay, all right, you're giving me something here. And then it just it had the same complaints I had the last episode where it stayed on a frame with no action for like a full 2 seconds. And then the action would come into frame and like, okay, well, you're just milking time now. And then the go-go gadget car, like how come the same button does multiple things? Like, it's just, I don't know, things like that just always
there's a control switch behind the wheel that you don't see that changes the keyboard layout. So,
yeah. And he happened to hit the right one before.
Oh yeah, there was almost like a drone thing that came out this time.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
kinda cool.
It was the same button as the hook that hooked onto the
No, but
tree.
there's a motion gesture before the button, clearly.
Yeah, you forget that he said, Siri, activate this button.
Make this button drone, and then he presses the button.
Yeah, and then like at the end, burning the town. Well, if that was an option, why didn't you just start with that?
I know, right? Like, really? Just gonna burn? Like, if no one can have, nobody can have it. Ha ha ha! I will rule over the wreckage.
I didn't realize there were so many bulls just ready to run at the moment's notice in South America. That was news.
Yeah,
to me.
I thought that was more of a Spain thing. I know it exists in Central and South America. And by the way, a lot of this felt very Central America, not South America, despite the setting. But yeah, it's,
I don't know. It kind of is just like Brian said. It piqued my interest at the beginning, and then as soon as it started falling off, it fell way off. And I just at the end of it, I watched about 5 minutes of the end with my eyes closed, and I think I remember most of it. I could have used a nap instead.
well, the good news is we have the finale next, and the finale is rated 7.1. So at the higher end, not the 8 of the ultimate episode, but at the higher end, it is called Race Around the World Part 2. So we're actually going to, for the first time, watch the end of a story instead of part 1, although this poorly rated story was all self-contained.
Yeah, it was.
At least there's that to say for it. There was no part 2 that you were going to have to suffer through if you were a regular viewer. Going into the finale, how do you feel about our Speed Racer experience, high and low?
I feel like I wish it was. I feel like when we watched Land of the Lost, we discovered new levels of affordably priced production.
Yes.
It was delightful in how cardboard it was on the inside. It was surprising. This, I'm surprised that there's been virtually no surprises. The lore did not go deeper than I thought. I understand. Well, I mean, outside of the things that we remember, the theme song and the cool kind of 3D motion stuff, great in the intro package and the end. That's about it.
I mean, if I think back to 1977, there were 3 things I loved: my brand new baby brother, Gerald Ford, and Speed Racer. My brother still appeals to me at age 55. The other 2 have not weathered my appreciation so much, may have been more suited for the mind of a 7-year-old.
Yeah.
I would really like to know if this next episode, the final episode of the series, is an intended final series, or if it's just going to leave us on another cliff. Is it just another episode that just happens
If
to
I
be
were
the
to
last
guess, I would guess it's going to be self-contained, just like all the other ones. They all seem mix and matchable.
one? Yeah.
I don't recall. I know I've seen this episode. I know from loving Speed Racer, if you're only catching this episode, you should know I absolutely adored Speed Racer, would sing the theme song in my sleep when I was a kid. That the only thing that I remember as being important that we haven't encountered is Racer X. And who is Racer X and what is his real identity? We haven't touched on that at all in these 3 episodes. I have an inkling that Racer X probably plays a big part in Race Around the World Part 2, and that they probably, as they did with these kinds of shows, leave the door open to make more if they need to, but knew this would serve as a finale, and so have a little bit more of a final tone to them without being a series finale in the proper sense.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we will find out when we watch this next week. Once again, season 1, episode 52, the very last episode of Speed Racer, Race Around the World Part 2. If you enjoy this concept, if you want to take part in this concept, maybe help us pick which shows we watch. We're going to be picking the next one shortly. You got to get After Talk. After Talk is the way. It is the light. It is the world. Become a patron and join After Talk at patreon.com/cordkillers. And you'll also get these episodes earlier. That's patreon.com/cordkillers. We'll talk to you next time. Could you tell I went to a Catholic church last week?
You know what? I didn't want to say anything, but yes.
All right.
The way the light.
Yeah.
Live viewers, thank you for joining us, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Yeah, well, I'll be back with a rebroadcast of or a broadcast of Great Night in
Stick around.
like 30 minutes.
Yeah, the world premiere of
Yeah,
this
there you
week's
go.
episode.
That's what it's called.